Hello and welcome back. Today we are doing a starting steps video as not as Austria. Let's do something a little Sikher. Let's do a Sikh run with the Sikh Empire. We are doing starting steps here with the Sikh Empire, and they kind of have an interesting start, and what is particularly interesting about them is they're next to the Dutch East India Company, which is just foaming at the mouth in terms of how they start. They're very, very aggressive. In patch 1.1, it was really easy to play as Burma or Sikh or like any one of these. Now it is quite hard because they really like to stick their finger in a lot of pies, and so this is kind of the starting situation. In particular, what is divergent as far as the Sikh Empire start goes. We will be trying to handle this as well as trying to industrialize early. There's like a whole bunch of stuff going on that's kind of a little unique about Sikhs, and we'll talk about them, but let's just kind of jump right into it, I guess. So first of all, we're going to be trying to spend all of our authority. We got to do a couple things. Notably, almost all of our economic activity and pop is in the capital here, so we can almost treat it like a single province start, as well as, because we don't have a lot of really good tech, or much tech at all at the very start, if we come in here, we don't even have urban planning, we are already overflowed on our infrastructure, and we already have an infrastructure malice, so we're going to need to put down a lot of edicts in the capital. We also have a lot of manufacturing in the capital. It seems like they just slapped everything in the capital. So we're going to promote social mobility in the capital. Almost all our props are there. We're going to do road maintenance in the capital. We're already out of infrastructure, and we want to be able to construct there faster once we get some infrastructure. And we're going to put encourage manufacturing industry down in the capital. Now we will have 500 leftover authority with our current ruler, whoever we rolled, whatever we rolled, this traditionalist boyo here. And so let's get on spending that. Now, as a general heuristic, we're going to remove these and then re-add some stuff. As a general heuristic, you kind of would prefer to put in consumption taxes rather than raise taxes. We're going to do both. But in particular, you want to put in consumption taxes that tax the rich. And this is true for several reasons. One, it's going to affect your over SOL in a more positive way rather than like taxing grain or something like this, or the SOL of the pops that matter. And then also, you kind of, to some extent, we're going to do the little authority trick to get just another tax in and then come on down. Actually, let's not do these last two taxes. Let's instead bolster the Industrialists. But the other reason, another reason is in patch 1.2, people have really been complaining about the arts academies. We got to do the authority trick. And if you have a poorer upper class, there will be less demand for art if you can manage to depress their SOL. And one way you could depress their SOL is by taxing all the goods they like. So this is just something I thought worth pointing out because it has been the bane of many people's existence. So now let's talk about the most important thing. And that's the East India Company really, really loves shoving their finger in your pie. And so what we're going to be doing for diplomacy, as well as in terms of our long-term plan here, is we are going to be improving relations with the East India Company, and we're going to look to get them in positive relations. If they're in positive relations, they can't declare war on us. And the second thing we're going to do is we're also going to try and get in the Great Britain's customs union, probably speaking, because if we're inside their customs union or our protectorate of them, specifically if we're a protectorate of them, East India Company, if they declare war on us, it'll pull Great Britain in on our side, so this is really good. And so we will try and get in with Great Britain, and Russia's kind of the available one at the start here, so we will do those three in terms of improving relations, and this is very, very important. We are always going to be trying to keep East India Company's relationship high, which is going to affect our expansion. We really don't have the best routes for expansion because we are landlocked currently, and once we get to the coast, we won't even have boats. And so, generally speaking, you don't want to, like, pull off the construction just for some boats. And so this is kind of how things go. Because of a lot of our construction, we are already running this infrastructure malice here. We will want to construct a lot of rural goods, mainly chops out here. And so for our construction, what we will be doing is we'll be just slapping down a construction center in each of these. And then we will be adding logging camps and putting them on auto expand. Ahead of the logging camps, we are going to put a tooling workshop in the capital, even though it's already overflowed, because this is going to be where we want it. We're going to put it on auto expand, and we're going to switch it to crude or to wrought iron tools. Now, the reason for this is currently we have no tools in the market, and we would really like some tools. So we're going to take a look. And also, when we swap over to wrought iron, something very important happens. We go from being Merchant Guild owned, which is owned by shopkeepers, which contribute 5% of their money to the investment pool, which is not... which we're currently got right here, that's going to be growing. But they go from contributing 5% as a merchant guild to 20% in privately owned. And most critically, like the most important thing for any start is getting all the sawmills, all the chops onto sawmills. And in order to do that, you are going to need tools, because this switches all of the chops from being merchant guild owned to being privately owned. So this is very, very critical, and we're kind of in an awkward spot here. Let's talk about why Sikh is awkward in regard to resources. So we actually, this is probably, Punjab might be the very best province of the game regarding agriculture, because you get, or not that one, but you get the 20% agriculture throughput, and this is applying to grain as well as livestock. But you also get the 20% plantations throughput, which is very, very, very nice, because you are getting a 20% juice on basically everything. You're getting it on the livestock, the cotton, the coffee, the silk, the wheat. You also notably have access to both silk and dyes at the very start. You're also a wheat farm base, not a rice farm base, so your unused arable land, it's only going to fire 5k pops when you build an arable land over, instead of 10k with the rice farms. And so maybe rice farms would be a little bit better, just because the rice farms themselves are better. But in the short term, as far as the start goes, wheat is better. And so you got all these things that are pretty nice, but you are really poor in natural resources from like the resource industry, i.e. the non-agricultural industry. You just have 12 coal mines and some chops, and that's it. And these are the best resources at the very start of the game. And so this is kind of a bit of a struggle, and we will be expanding and trying to, you know, fill that out. Now, we as far as tech goes, we are in a rough spot. We don't have a lot of technology. Notably, we have some of the military technology, which is a very unusual start, because we start out pretty good militarily, but we are going to want to beeline towards railways as quickly as possible. And I've done this start a few times where we kind of, you know, go for some society tech, because there's 3 society techs that are really nice, which is stock exchange, currency standards, and colonization, all pretty nice. Although notably on the colonization, our institutions will cost quite a bit of bureaucracy, so that's something to consider. But I think that you just can't afford to wait. Also, academia would be nice. I think you just have to try and get to railways as quickly as possible, so we'll go this route. Even though cotton gin and lathe will be not spreading to us, so we could like do gallivant off in some society tech, we're going to go this route, and then we're going to go atmospheric engine into railways. And this way we can try and resolve and build tall, specifically in Punjab, which is probably the best capital state in the game. I really think it is. Maybe I'm missing a little bit of something. They don't have the absolute most arable land. I think that most arable land is somewhere over here in Bengal or something. In North Bengal, maybe it is. That has the absolute most arable land, but they are also on rice. So maybe this is better. They also do not have, they only have the agriculture throughput. They don't have the plantations throughput. So there is all that noise. Okay, as far as expansion goes, we're in an awkward spot, and we need to take a look at this. This is actually a very, very critical thing for understanding. Very often, people will pull their interests out of Persia or not have interest in Persia, and so you can expand in Persia pretty comfortably or in Central Asia pretty comfortably. You notice there's no UK here. And so it might be a little bit of a bait to go for Sindh really early on, but if you go for, Sindh, the East India Company joins it against you, in my experience, like 80% of the time, something like this. If you go against Kalat or someone in the Persia HQ, it's only maybe 20 or 30%. We might unpause, we might declare this war, we might have to fight the East India Company. If this happens, I will just put in the exact same like start, and we will just redo the run from the very beginning, because I think them not joining against Kalat and Makran, which is going to be our first 2 expansions, is really important and or nice for us to try and generate enough positive relations with Great Britain that we can get into their customs union. You notice they're already kind of willing to let that happen, and so we want to get into their customs union so that they can maybe protect us against the East India Company or something to this effect. I don't know the exact relation if 2 members of a customs union can declare war on each other, but we'll have a look and see. So let's jump into it, and we're going to start with Conquer State Baluchistan here, and we will take it on pause and be off and away. So we'll just put in, we also, if we get Great Britain as a protector or something to this effect, we also will delete an enormous amount of our military, but right now we do not want to, because then the East India Company will slap us around. It looks like people might have shifted around some interests here, because our improved relations with Russia went away, and you notice, look, if you take a look here, no more UK, and no more, Sorry, no more East India Company having an interest here. So actually, you should pause, let it tick for a second, because we did incur some negative relations with that DoW, but this will be fine either way. When you DoW someone, you incur half the infamy you gain as negative relations with that person. So we'll have like a weird number, minus 34, because we got like minus 5 from declaring war in here. But this makes expanding in Persia even better. We should have waited for that at the very beginning. We're going to take a look at the fact that we are doing that. And actually, let's talk about corn laws now. So we're going to put this on export so we can provoke getting a market liberal and get the corn laws activated. And we are also generally going to try and do a large volume of trade with Great Britain, although it will be kind of tough early on. Let's take a look at our trade routes that we currently have. I think we can delete that one, but we will need to import iron as much as possible, and then probably weapons. So we'll import iron from the British market, even though it's not profitable, and we will just continue on our way. We do want to do a large volume of trade with them if possible. They're protective, so we can get in their customs union relatively early, and we would prefer to be in just straight up customs union. It doesn't look like we can ask them to protectorate us. They can't be our daddy, but we'll do a monument worthy of the Maharaja. And we can enact poor laws, but we are just going to sit on our law activation until we get our market liberal from the corn laws event chain. Now, why isn't it popping? Yes, because we just start with an armed forces and government. So we'll reform the government here. We'll do that. Now we'll provoke corn laws. It's important to note, we kind of just have standard fare when it comes to being like a generally, more regressive, non-recognized country. Monarchy, autocracy, state religion, etc. Traditionalism, land-based taxation, serfdom. These are all really bad. We want to fix all of these, but the big way to fix it is through the corn laws. Now, notably, if we take a look at the strategic regions, our pie is not going to get thumbed by them, by the East India Company. They will thumb our pie if we go for Sindh, so we just won't go for Sindh because that war, even though you can win it, is really expensive and we just as soon not fight it. You definitely can win it, but even if you enforce on them and you get all these war reps, it's still not worth it. So we're just going to go for this, we're going to conquer this, and we're going to get up to the coast, which is going to be nice. It's going to be big nice, actually. Now, we're going to incorporate this straight away, and this incorporation cost will dramatically increase here, and then we'll need to up these and do some paper and this sort of stuff. Once we get a market liberal, we will be going for serfdom first, and then we will be switching onto interventionalism, maybe laissez-faire. Hopefully the guy doesn't die because we are not rushing stock exchange, so we are going to have to wait some time before we can pass free trade, and we might not end up on free trade, but if we don't, that's not the end of the world. That's not what's super critical, and it's especially not the end of the world if we're joining the UK's market, because Daddy will be doing the trading for us, or as I like to say, Mummy will be doing the trading for us. And so it's much less of a concern. We do want to get into their market, specifically not necessarily because it's the best market, although I kind of think it is the best market, but mostly, actually, I even think we can siphon off, because we'll accept the pops in here, I think we can siphon off from the East India Company, so I actually think it's insane, but the main reason we're doing it is so that we don't get our thumb pied. Now, it's important to note, we cannot make any vassals before this happens, and so this leaves us in a little twiddle thumb situation, because if you make any vassals, you can't join a customs union, so we have to join a customs union before we make any vassals, and so this is going to be awkward. We have this finishing in our queue, so our queue is kind of cleared out, and we will switch on to the tools for all of our logging camps, onto sawmills, which will make them all capitalist owned, and then we will put some more logging in the queue in a couple of places, and then we want to kick this wheat farm in Baluchistan to the bottom, and we're just going to cancel the tea farm. The wheat farm's almost done, so we're going to let it finish because we don't want to lose progress, but it also is suffering a pretty big penalty from turmoil. And so because the turmoil is relatively large, because we're conquering around, we also have a pretty large amount of infamy, we will want to go police relatively early, but right now institutions are kind of expensive. We don't want to be using our construction. The only thing we want to be using construction on is facilitating more construction, and so we don't want to build a bunch of government administrations to support institutions at this time, but we will eventually. And so these, we are going to want to try and get cheaper cotton if we can, or sorry, fabric. Unfortunately, we can't, but if we set it to import prioritization, since we actually don't think we're going to get on free trade for a long time, let's actually come through, and we're going to put import prioritization on everything except for the grain, because that is agrarian based because the grain is part of an event chain. But this way, we will kind of support our economy going more industrial. Definitely on the opium. Let's go, baby. It's hot. And especially because we have a really strong comparative advantage in these goods, we will, or not we, but our auto queue will be much more inclined to build these goods in general. Let's also do it with this, yeah. And let's take a look here. We are on, let's actually take a quick look through all the PMs. I think we don't want to be, let's get on citrus orchards. Since we now have tools, we can go butchering tools as well. We don't have any boats, so we don't want to go on fishing trawlers just yet. And we can't go on to any of the better PMs here. Notice a ton of these are merchant guilds owns. We're really trying to get away from that. And we do have this government administration tick up we can do, but we don't want to do it until we need to, because it's going to cost a little bit of money. We are actually paying an enormous amount of money for our military. We are going to delete a ton of military once we get in Mummy's Market, or if we get in positive relations with them, because then they can't dow us, but we cannot for now. We have to get the relationships up to cordial, so we're going to have to suffer having, you know, relatively expensive stuff. We don't want to go for Afghanistan, because we can't join a market if we have a puppet, and we don't want to just take one state off of them and have it cost 25 infamy. Same reasoning for Persia, so it's kind of just sit tight, because we also don't have any boats. We could build a single boat. If you build a boat, you can actually take Bahrain, because Bahrain has no military, and this is actually a good expansion spot, so let's take Bahrain. I think I talked myself into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a single naval base, because all you need is one boat. We'll recruit a navy guy, so that way we don't forget what we did, because classic, that's what we do. And this is also notably why we didn't delete the military here, is because we need these guys for doing landings, because you can only land with an HQ that's adjacent to the coast. This HQ and this HQ not adjacent to the coast, so only the newly conquered areas can we use their guys for landings. We'll swap all these over in case we do get a little thumb. And credit where credit's due to the Industrialists. Perfect. Let's go, baby. Now, we are just going to finish this grain thing. It's not going to be the biggest deal in the world. It's not ideal, but we're also prioritizing grain exports until we get our boyo, who we're hoping for sometime in the near future. But until then, we're just kind of going to focus on, you know, slowly expanding these. We actually will put in a coal mine because we're going to need the coal eventually. We'll put it on auto expand, and then we'll create a little bit of demand for it when that finishes. We'll do this, the little trick, and we'll tax T and then come back down. We're actually going to up taxes as well. You can generally up taxes as you have a lot more peasants, and then as the peasants come down, you want to not have taxes high for a variety of reasons. But the big one being migration is not important if you have a ton of peasants, but it becomes important when you have no peasants. But right when you run out of peasants is a weird, very uncomfortable inflection point. I think we can support a little bit more construction here, so we're going to do it. We are just going to raise taxes to pay for it, but let's finish the logging camp relatively early. And can we join Mummy's Market yet? We can join Mummy's Market. And so we actually don't mind if they protectorate us at all. And so we're just going to owe them an obligation, and then we're in Mummy's Market. Once we're in Mummy's Market, then we can turn on all of the PMs that we want, because now we have access to all the goods that we want. And so we'll just take a quick look through stuff. We'll switch to this. We'll switch to cannon production. We'll switch to gas streetlights. I think we'll switch to the well, we won't switch to filing cabinets yet, but soon. We'll switch to harvesting tools. It's not profitable yet, but it will be once they accept. Actually, all of this is like once they accept, because we didn't even wait to see if they accepted, or we did. Okay, but now we're cordial with them. So now we're going to wind down some of our military. I believe this makes it so the East India Company doesn't want to declare on us, or won't declare on us. So we're going to wind down our military and perhaps get punished. Actually, let's take a quick save, because often if you are not in the customs union, they just dow you immediately if you wind down the military. And so we're going to take a save just in case they do the same thing. But I'm pretty sure when you're in the same customs union as them, they will not do this. And so let's try and see if we can do this. So we are going to wind down Punjab to, oop, that's the opposite direction, 30, and then we're going to wind down Kashmir to 10. Oop, was that the wrong one? We want Baluchistan to have, 5. Actually, let's wind down these both. And we just now have 35, which now we're going to lose our power status. Oh no, big sad, which it is a little bit sad, but now we have a ton more money that we can devote to construction, which is big nice. You know, we care about construction kind of more than anything else, and so this is going to be really happy for us. And we'll just add 4 construction centers. The construction is notably really expensive while you are still on, you know, the buildings. So actually, let's take a pause and let's take a little bit of a think, because now that we're in the UK's market, yes, we can actually kind of afford to maybe go for iron frame buildings. This is way cheaper on the wallet than wooden buildings is, and so we would generally like to move towards this. Also, let's move 2 of these to the bottom of the queue, because we have a pretty expensive wood in the market here, but these are much more efficient on iron frame buildings, but we don't have the tech for iron frame buildings. In order to do it, we are going to need urban planning, which we do not have, so, and is not nat spreading to us, so, and urban planning will also notably give us infrastructure. So I think we go urban planning next, which is kind of a weird one, because we usually do not play countries that do not currently have urban planning. But mechanical tools is nat spreading to us, so we're kind of still making progress towards railways anyways, and especially when something's natural spreading toward you and it's what you want, often you can go into a different tab and look for something else. And so we will be doing that here. Now, we're making some money moves, that is. We do have the one guy, so we'll actually take a quick save, or let's take a quick save. We saved before we deleted all of our military. Let's go after Bahrain. We are going to have to declare interest, so we're going to declare this one here. We're going to lose this other interest when we decrease in power anyways, so there's no point in putting it down. We can't drop it like it's hot, if you will, but instead we will go for all this. Unfortunately, we still haven't gotten our market liberal Boyo, which is big sad. He's still a traditionalist. This is why you go corn laws, because we would like to take the corn off of export prioritization, but okay, this is not the biggest deal in the world. We should also be able to siphon off pops from these guys once we open up migration, which is part of why we're juicing up the Industrialists, because we have closed borders right now. So, a modern conservative, so this is what it's about. This is why you go corn laws. Let's take a look at our conservative and just talk about this. I think that this is like, if you haven't played much of the game, like, this is one of the most important things to emphasize. So for everyone who's seen me emphasize it a ton in all my runs, I'm sorry, but we just have to talk about this. So we will get a new leader of the age is what you select here, and the character appears. Right now, this guy's a traditionalist, so he loves state religion and legal guardianship, and there's a ton of laws that they also really support. You know, the landowners really support serfdom. They really support, you know, not swapping to free trade, and they really support not swapping to interventionalism. Once you get the modern conservative, let's just come over to this guy here. This guy will change from a traditionalist to a market liberal, and now this guy supports all this stuff. So we'll unpause and bada bing, bada. Oh wait, he's not in government? He's in government. We should be able to come off of... Oh, okay, we got to get off serfdom first. But he went from opposing serfdom to now really supporting abolishing serfdom. So we're going to use him to abolish serfdom and crank up our economy. Serfdom is really bad. Traditionalism is really bad. And we're going to talk about those in a little bit. And so serfdom, like, prohibits you from doing a lot of the other stuff that's good. Now, once we get urban planning, is urban planning nat spreading to us? No, it's not. If urban planning was nat spreading to us, we would continue on our way to railways, but we are going it ourselves. Unfortunately, we got a nat spread on mass communication. Ugh. But urban planning, again, we're trying to get to those iron frame buildings. Notably, we cannot create the iron ourselves, not very well. We have iron here, but it has pretty bad turmoil, which has negative state construction efficiency. Let's check our infamy. We're almost at 0, which is big nice, because now we have an interest here, and so we are going to conquer state Bahrain, and this should be nice. Notably, they have no army, so you can just land them with anything, and we're just going to land them with, we get serfdom abolished. Okay, so now let's talk about why traditionalism is so bad. It gives taxation capacity, so we are going to lose out on the taxation capacity and the bureaucracy cost multipliers, so we will hemorrhage a bunch of bureaucracy when we swap over, but it gives minus 50% capitalist investment pool contribution efficiency. So our capitalists go from contributing 20% to contributing 10%, and this is big sad for us. We really want to be on interventionist or laissez-faire. We want a little bit more control because we don't have much construction yet, and so we'll go interventionalism first. instead of laissez-faire. Although it is, control's probably a little bit less important when you're inside someone's market. No bread, no freedom. We will do this one, and then we will stop encouraging the export of grain. Instead, we'll encourage the imports, and the corn laws goes away. We got what we wanted, we hit it and quit it, we tooted it and booted it. We got our market liberal, and now we out of here. Ba-boom. Okay. No one joined against us. Big nice. We will need to recruit a general in the Baluchistan area. Oh, wait. Not an admiral. We will need to recruit a general here in the Persia HQ. This guy seems fine. And we will land with him, and he will win because they have no army. But very importantly, Bahrain and the Trucal states combined, it's all one state, has 80 oil, which will be very critical. And we'll also get a little bit of economy expansion in terms of the fishing wharves and the livestock ranches, so this will also be nice. Get a little bit extra authority. Of course, we get to hit it off in Bahrain. Now we will have a native interest in the Middle East here, and so we'll move our interest over here to Indonesia. But we won't be doing any more expansion because we'll have to build like 5 boats, which that's a bridge too far, you know what I mean? Actually, maybe it's not. Maybe we do want to go for the 5 boats. They take so long to build up, but I think it's worth it because there's going to be a lot of little small volley expansions we want to do. And we have, like, the ships are in our market. We're nice and just chilling inside the Great Britain's market. All hail Mummy. Mummy, we could ask to become a protectorate. We would not mind being a protectorate. The only thing that really sucks about being a protectorate is it's much harder for us to get recognized, and we would have to fight Mummy before we could become our own independent country. But other than this, because recognition is like critically important, because we start out as an unrecognized country, and it has a whole bunch of modifiers, but I'm just having a think here. I guess we shouldn't have deleted our army maybe just yet. Because I think if we become a protectorate, Mummy doesn't have a problem with us doing naughty, naughty things. We swapped over to filing cabinets because we were incurring a huge problem there. And now, look, we're making a ton more money because our investment pool is going to be way, way, way bigger. But I'm just thinking about puppeting Persia here. Which, I guess we don't need the boats if we're going to puppet Persia, huh? If Mummy will help us, we can puppet Persia. This is why I'm lamenting not deleting the military as well, because I think that, oh, we can't puppet Persia unless we're a major power. Got it. We could try and puppet Afghanistan here after asking to be a puppet, or just vassalizing them in general. This will give us negative relations. We have to keep in mind that we'll have, whatever our infamy that we get from this war is, we'll get half negative relations with Great Britain if they have an interest there, which is not, we don't want to upset Mummy when Mummy barely likes us. And so we won't want to do this unless we become a protectorate, and then we can maybe throw our weight around, and, this will also put us in a shape where the East India Company cannot declare war on us. And we also cannot get ejected from the customs union. I think we just need a mummy. We just need a mummy right now. This way, because we also, like, can't expand right now, at least not very effectively. And so this will allow us to expand a little bit more effectively, because if we don't do this, we kind of don't want to declare war on Afghanistan. If we do this, we can declare war on Afghanistan a lot more efficiently, and then into Persia a little bit later. Once we get slightly better PMs, we probably shouldn't have deleted all the military yet, but it's fine. Not a big deal. We're going to try this. Thanks, Mummy. And now we'll just vassalize them, because even if we get negative relations with Mummy, as you see, we are still amicable, so that's fine. But even if we were to get negative relations with her, it would be fine. And now we can even try and, like, pull her in, but Mummy's not going to oblige us. We are unrecognized, though, so this is going to cause us a headache down the road, but I think it's worth just avoiding any sort of fight with the East India Company. Maybe not. I'm really not sure what's best. Actually, I'm going to pause and think. I think this might be a mistake, and in which case we're just going to reload. Alright, after some reflection, I changed my mind. I think we don't need a mummy, but I think we're going to try for this Afghanistan war anyways. I think we save here, just in case some weird stuff happens. We're pretty close to the start. You can play Iron Man like this if you want to, and just You know, this is like a critical war. It's going to incur us a lot of infamy, and then we'll just be chilling for a while until we get our 5 boats, and then we'll be expanding over here, and so this will be fine. But puppeting Afghanistan, I think is, or vassalizing Afghanistan, I think is a decent war. Hopefully Mummy doesn't get involved. We'll see what Mummy thinks. Notably, all right, we get interventionalism, which is going to, again, crank this up. Big nice. And we might need to use conscripts here, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. We have really high amount of conscripts. Also, Persia can join against us. If Persia joins against us, we will have to do some other stuff as well. We're going to put in war reparations and also have them ban slavery in Afghanistan, because this can make great powers want to join against you. And we'll just keep we'll float an extra like 30 infamy just in case something weird happens. Russia being belligerent, that's not ideal. I think we're also going to come in and make sure we are improving relations with Great Britain, always. Mummy. Well, she'll be our mummy from afar. She won't be as willing to join plays on our side, but this is going to be, overall, we're going to be net fine with this. We see no one else looks like they're coming in, and so we will also open their market, just to kind of try and make sure that we get as many of these as possible. And this will be a nice little war. And then after this, we're going to be doing a lot of chilling. Just a lot of vibing, a lot of not, you know, getting involved in anything. We are running a bureaucracy deficit, so let's try and... we, of course, do want to be on the latest and greatest of all these, because Mummy will provide. And we got lathes. So notably, when we get lathes, that's this tech here. Oop. As soon as you get lathes, you want to not do what we did, and you want to instantly swap over. You want to swap over because in all of these buildings, they switch from going to merchant guild owned to privately owned, which will allow the Industrialists to come to power. And this is going to be really good. And of course, we don't have to worry about shortages and these types of things because Mummy is handling all this. And so we just need to kind of use the best PMs we can, and Mummy will import and export as required. And we are almost done with these iron frame buildings, so this will be also big nice once we get in on that. Or the tech that we need in order to get iron frame buildings. It's not very often I play a country that does not have urban planning, but this is going to be really important for us. It's also going to fix some of our infrastructure problem here, because we will get like an additional 20 infrastructure. So this is also a decent tech in the particular case of us. We have this on auto expansion. We're going to put another one of these in the queue. And we just kind of have a good looking queue here. I'm not sure. So we're over halfway done, so we're going to finish this tooling workshop in the truthful states. But if we were sharp, we would have kicked it to the bottom of the queue or gotten rid of it. It's not the worst though. This is fine. We can do the trick where we increase this for just a moment and then put in a tax on, we're going to put it on opium, just so our pops consume less opium if possible. This will be a little bit preferable. And then we will have Afghanistan as a puppet, so this is also going to be nice. We're having mummy problems, obviously, because we're not really sure whether it's or not it's better to be a protectorate. We just remember the Sokoto run, which was such a headache as a protectorate to become recognized, because that meant we had to fight Great Britain first. And we get urban planning, we get extra land capacity, extra construction center max level, and extra infrastructure per 100k population. I believe at 2 million in terms of the math. Never do math on stream or on a recording. I believe after 2 million you hit the cap, but for us this will be plus 20 infrastructure here in Punjab, and so now we're sitting pretty. And we also vassalized Afghanistan. And let's, you know, change lenses so we can get the nice color. Yeah, there we go. The nice little pink there. And so we also unlock the iron frame buildings, and so we will straight away come in here and start swapping over to iron frame buildings. We actually probably can support all of these swapping over to iron frame buildings. It'll just be very uncomfortably initially. Afghanistan is demanding we end the vassal status. I don't think that's happening, my guy. And eventually, we will want to go into Persia. Now, in my experience, my limited testing, if you take Bukhara or Khiva, Russia will fight you. So you just don't want to do that because they are hard-coded to really value these. And while Mummy might help us, if she doesn't help us, that would kind of brick the run, so we're not going to do that. we're just going to chill. We're going to wait for our naval bases to employ up. Now, they are having problems employing up because these pops, we do not approve of them, and so they are having a hard time finding qualifications. If I'm not mistaken, that is the problem. If we see here, no qualifications. And so we could build a uni here if we really wanted, but I think what we're going to need to do is, it's not going to be that serious. We will need to get academia to get that to really employ up the way we want, unfortunately. And so maybe building all 5 of those was a little bit of a mistake. We're not going to rush academia. We're just going to continue on this route that we've already set for ourselves, but this is just something to keep in mind. Now, we are coming up a little bit nicely here, encouraging manufacturing here, so that means we don't want the resource industries here. We're just going to go for the wood, the chop chops. Chop chops are extraordinarily efficient. We're just going to max them out in everywhere that is not suffering from some sort of penalty. So, like, for example... Ooh, actually, we no longer have a penalty here for turmoil or whatever, so it's gone away. So we will start caking out the iron mines here as well. And so this will be big nice. Once we get there, we'll just put this on auto expand with the lead farm, but we're not going to push it ourselves. And of course, the chop chops are really nice. And the fishing wharves are also quite nice. We will want to switch them to privately owned for whatever reason. Like, I don't understand why it's not tied to a PM like any other, but we will swap all those to privately owned because that will be better. And we're in good shape here. Millet farm is getting built. Unfortunate. That is an auto queue. Not what we wanted, but it's what we deserve, perhaps. And looking pretty nice. Making some moves, making some money moves. Ayo, let's go. Mainly just waiting on construction to finish. But we have cranked up to like 50-ish construction. We have like a small military, but this is fine. You know, this is going to start cranking up very nicely. Once we, like, the chop chops are really, really efficient, and we are in the Great British market, so they can eat all the demand for it. So we are going to look to really push the resource industries and then push economies of scale, specifically here in Punjab. So we're going to look to build really tall here. We're just going to add a couple more of those at the back, and then again we're going to build here in the resource industries because the iron is going to be something that we really want to push. And we get mechanical tools. I don't think, do we have steel in our market here? We do have steel in the market. We have quite a bit of steel in the market, so we could probably swap over to steel tools, and so we will do that right away. We will put steel in here, and we will put it on auto expand as well. Again, we are mainly expanding here because we have this encourage manufacturing here as well as road maintenance, so the stuff will build faster from the state construction efficiency, although eventually we will want to get rid of these two. We'll probably leave encourage manufacturing for the entire game. Promote social mobility is okay. I guess we could promote social mobility here, actually, in order to try and get our things filled out. So why don't we do that? So we're going to remove this last consumption tax. We're going to increase this for just a moment, and we're going to come into the decrees, and we are going to promote social mobility in Baluchistan, mainly because we need more officers to man our, what is it here? To man our naval bases, and this is kind of a temporary measure. You could build universities as well, but again, like, once we get academia, once we raise the standard of living, once we get academia and empiricism, which give wealth-based education access, the qualifications won't really be a problem. And so Russia started to conquer play state against us. Now, Mummy, he wants the Truco Coast. So we're probably just going to give it to him, unless we can get Mummy involved. Is there anything we would want other than war reps? Although I don't think we could take war reps. If we could take war reps, that would be fantastic. Great Britain sides with us. Okay, so Mummy's here to save the day. I'm not sure if we can even win this, but we can think about what we want here, actually, from Russia. And, I mean, Mummy might slap him around. And so we need to think a little bit carefully here. So first of all, let's declare interest in like a little bit more of a strategic way, because we can get Russia to release Perm. Perm's very strong resource industries, and I think that we also maybe want them to release Kokand. We can also go after Bukhara ourselves later if we manage to kneecap Russia significantly in this war. This is a very exciting development. I think that, well, it looks like, it looks like we're probably not in great shape. And we'd be super fine with war reparations. And so maybe we shouldn't, we can transfer Finland, we can revoke claim, we can ban slavery. I think we actually just leave this like this, because for war reparations, you do not need to, you just need to take a little bit of land, and we could take Alaska. We should be able to actually land Alaska, and maybe we can enforce war reparations on them, but we can't enforce other stuff. So we're going to actually try for this, and we're going to slow down a little bit. We also, it's not the end of the world if we have to give up the Truco Coast. I mean, it's obviously not what we would want to do, but if we could get, you know, no one is swayable here. Let's actually look at our diplomacy, and let's try and get some people to like us more, namely France and Spain. Might be willing to help us out in the future. So I think we just continue on, though. They're domineering towards us. We could ask to become a French protectorate. Hey, yo, let's go, baby. I don't think that's the play, but we could do it. Yeah, I think that that's really unfortunate, because we really want this state. We even built stuff there. We built this for you. It's going to be big nice once we get atmospheric engine pump. We are losing a little bit of money now, but our investment pool is growing. But since we are unrecognized, we really don't want to be on the losing money front. So we actually are going to wind down a construction center. We're going to wind one down here, and we're going to wind one down here, and look to kind of slow this down quite a bit. I believe part of it is we decreased... let's just increase taxes. What are we doing with our lives? We're going to look to stay out of debt. We're probably going to increase taxes again. We will land Alaska with our little 5-stack. And we won't need to mobilize this 30-stack, although we maybe want to... Well, we'll see what they do. We got a war. We'll see what Great Britain wants to do, what Russia wants to do. We can just capitulate, so this is not a big deal. It's not the biggest thing to lose. It is unfortunate. We did get a finger in our pie. They are just going to land and enforce on the Truco Coast, or they're just going to land it. And so, but if maybe us taking Alaska, if we take Alaska first or something, I'm not sure. Or if Great Britain like lands their capital, they'll get wrecked, right? But we'll see how that shakes out. Great Britain has better PMs. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it looks like we didn't need to delete both those construction centers, but we also do want to make sure we... So, when you are an unrecognized power, you pay way more in interest. And we get a successful naval invasion, though. So this is big funny, because we are pushing here. I guess we maybe mobilize and look to push the other one. But rip their Ripperino. Ooh, we have huge attrition, and this is off the back of us not having any convoys, so let's come in here and go to cargo port. We also will import fabric or grain from someone, mainly just to create a trade center more than anything else. We can't afford a ton of trade routes, but let's see. Which is the most productive? Sindh market? Okay, well, whatever. I thought it might be China, but also, China might be, Mummy might be already trading with China. And we see Mummy is doing a landing. She's a landing. And so this is big happy that they just joined of their free accord. This is a big part of like why we wanted to curry a good relationship with Great Britain. And we see, look, it's going to be a double rainbow all across the world. Russia's notably taking it faster because they haven't landed the Truco Coast yet. And so we might just get war reps from Russia, which would be insane. We are pushing here, but I think our push is significantly brought down by the fact that we are don't have good supply. But okay, we'll just push through. This will be... We are occupying territory. The landing is successful on the capital here. But it looks like they got an unassigned, or they just reassigned kind of to a weird front. They are trying to push in. They're not getting a successful landing here. It looks like we're going to get enforced in Russia here. And war reps from Russia are going to be huge. Because they will allow us to construct a whole lot more, and that's the only thing we want. You know, Victoria 3 players only want one thing, and it's fucking construction. I think that maybe we recruit another general in our main HQ, by the way. I guess this is North India HQ. so that we are using less convoys. No, that didn't help very much. Damn. Okay. Well, decreased it a little bit, but they are getting riggedy wrecked, son. We'll see just how... So the thing is if they land here, then we might start being in bad shape, but other than that... Actually, why don't we send this guy home? For whatever reason, Russia doesn't defend Alaska. Like, the AI is... like, this is kind of a bit of an exploit. We'll probably swap over to this now, because we don't want to forget, because I'm really good at forgetting, and we're not really fighting, we're just doing whatever this is. But this is going to set us up really big nice. I don't think our edict's really doing enough of anything for us to really care, you know, in terms of increasing employment here, so we're just going to nuke it. I think that this edict is generally a bit of a trap, and we would rather be on, you know, a consumption tax here. But I thought that situationally it might be good just to get enough employment that we could, you know, land in Indonesia, but we're not about that anymore. It was worth a try. Heavenly Kingdom pops already? It's only 45. That's nuts. I mean, I think Great Qing puts it down, but Great Qing has problems this patch because of the rice nerfs, really driving it and making it very uncomfortable. We are pushing, pushing. It looks like we're going to force on Russia here. Thank you, Mummy. Mummy, can you please give us some Russian rubles? I don't even know if that's the right currency. It looks like we're almost out of debt here, so we will look to up the construction. Generally, kind of in the capital, we're going to look to build Big Tall here. I think we're going to need this eventually, and then we're just going to put this... We're going to pretend like we're not in a deficit, and we're just going to add another construction center, even though we're not quite there yet. We will be soon enough. Russia, are you willing to give us war reps? Just, you know... No, not yet. We can notably enforce them below 0 because we have some of their dirt, because we have Alaska. Even if they manage to, you know, push Great Britain out, which it looks like they have, this will be the situation. And they still haven't landed the Trucal Coast, so there's all that noise. And they still haven't tried to come and save Alaska, which is, you know, a bit of a problem. Looks like, what is this? Japan having... Oh, it's Bhutan. I was like, I don't usually see Japan revolutions, so this is a bit weird. And it was a bit weird, and it wasn't a Japanese rev. So it looks like we are getting nice profitability here in the tooling workshops. Notably, we have a comparative advantage because we have this huge throughput bonus. We also have cheap labor here. And so we're just going to look to dump, absolutely dump, tools into the Great British market. This is one of the advantages. Let's actually just talk about the advantages of being inside the Great British market for just a moment. So one of the advantages is they have an enormous amount of buy and sell orders, right? And so this means that we can focus on specialization a bit more. Because, for example, they have so many buy orders for tools, we can build tools really tall while there's still being demand for it. Normally, you would build some tools up, and then there wouldn't be enough demand for tools. The price of tools would go down, and they wouldn't be that profitable. But we can just keep building this up because we're in Great Britain's market, and they're driving a ton of demand. Secondly, also in there is the East India Company. In terms of our pops, in terms of our culture, you know, we accept Punjabi, Kashmiri. I guess we don't accept all that much. We can change our laws to accept a bit more. Let's actually look to pass some laws. Because we have been sitting maybe a little bit too long on our laurels. The real problem is we can't get the most legitimate looking government because our ruler is the armed forces guy. Let's actually take a quick look. Actually, let's finish explaining. We can get a ton of migration from the East India Company, and this is really strong. This is another, because you can pull migrants from anywhere in your market, and we will want to pull them from East India Company. We do have similar, I believe we can make it so they're accepted, in which case we will pull a ton of migration from them, which is going to be very powerful. And also, as we see with this whole Russia thing, Great Britain is much more likely to support us in plays if they are a thing. Now let's try and pass some laws. And let's maybe slow down a little bit. Let's see. If we go after that, we could go for cultural exclusion or racial segregation. Cultural traits. I don't know these as well as I should in terms of which one of these is good. I think if we do racial segregation, We should be fine. So, we do not accept these guys. And they are Iranian Central Heritage. So these are Iranian heritage. We are, I think, Indo-Aryan heritage. Arab-speaking and African. Iranian, Middle Eastern. This is a mechanic I do not know as well as I ought to. I believe we can get them migrants without having to be multiculturalism. We'll see a little bit later, but let's just try and start passing some good laws. Like, let's get on to open borders if we can. That doesn't really help us out. Okay. There's not a whole lot we can pass until we get off this autocracy monarchy block, actually, so let's see if we can get to landed voting and then maybe pull parliamentary republic. We'll see what we can do. Landed voting. Definitely should have been doing this earlier. This is my bad. Currency standards are nice. We will probably go per capita taxation because we're a ways off from proportional taxation, from egalitarianism. I just got so excited about this Russia war and stuff. Okay, but let's go back up to speed 4 and continue along our merry way. We will be pushing construction. How long until we can annex these boys? 47? Okay, so a couple more years. This will probably be the play. We do have almost no infamy, but we don't really have a good way to accrue infamy. Other than maybe going after Persia, which I don't think we can do, practically speaking. We could go after Bukhara or Khiva. Actually, this will probably be the way. And we fully occupied Alaska, and they don't do anything about it, which is crazy. They will accept just giving us war reps, so we will offer that. And now we are just going to be making gobs of money. A little bit of, let's take a look. We're getting from Diplopacts, we're getting from Russia, 17k, which is not as much as I expected, but it's still a pretty penny. So we're going to add a couple construction centers here. We're going to add 4. And this should kind of nuke this, but it will really ramp up our construction ability. And then I think we go after Bukhara here. And then I think we go after Khiva here. And then I think we learn how these work. Because we need a interest here. And we'll probably take a save first, because Russia might join against us. And in which case we don't really want to go for this. But other than that, it should be pretty good. Looks like we got this on auto expand. Really going to be big nice once we hit atmospheric engine. And then we'll be into rails pretty quick. Boost our industries further. Hell yeah, brother. Now we are... Nope, the Diplopact didn't go up, but it's always this number plus this number is how much you're really making. And so we will see what it's at once we finish all these construction centers, because we do have 2 more coming in. So we don't want to add more before it's time. We will take a quick save and we will go after one of these. I'm not sure which one's better. We're going to take a look between Bukhara and Khiva, and then we'll probably be... well, actually, maybe now's a good time to conclude this episode. So, here has been our kind of starting steps here for Sikh, our very Sikh run. The goal for this run, I guess I probably should have iterated it more, but is going to be both forming India and also subjugating the UK eventually. Mummy will eventually become our daughter, I guess. But this episode's been pretty fruitful. We, conquered our way out to the coast, which is kind of the most important feature. We got Bahrain, and then Russia declared war for Bahrain, and then we got war reps from Russia, so that was a little nice. And we also puppeted Afghanistan. This is all in terms of expansion. In terms of what the plan has been, we actually deleted a ton of our military and have been improving relations with the East India Company to avoid a fight with them, which I think is, critically speaking, what is really an annoying start for the Sikh Empire is the fact that East India Company comes after you, Russia comes after you. But what we have to kind of prevent that is we have a mummy. And whenever, we have any sort of problems, we just go, mummy, 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 will you please help me? And then she helps us out, which is what's the case with Russia. We also did the kind of exploit where you just land Alaska and they don't do anything about it. In fact, we might even want to declare war on Russia at some point for recognition and land Alaska, except for they could very easily land us, so we have to get strong enough to defend that landing before we do that, but declare that for recognition and more war reps. But this has kind of, been where we've been started. We have been industrializing. I slacked a little bit, I think, on passing some laws. I don't think we were super heads up, but we are going to try and liberalize a little bit more. We notably did use corn laws to get off of both serfdom and off of traditionalism. We will want to, I believe, this guy's no longer a market liberal, which is unfortunate, but eventually, we're not even legitimate. Can we make a legitimate government with the industrialists in here? I don't think, okay, this is good enough. But as I was saying, we are going to try and get off autocracy and monarchy. We are kind of, it is hard to make a legitimate government when we have armed forces as our monarch, and them also not having a lot of clout, and so we will have to try and claw some back from the landowners and do this sort of thing, which is kind of a big facet of industrialization anyways, so we should be in good shape. But yeah, it's been a very fruitful start. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.